The views and opinions on this podcast do not necessarily reflect those of the executive producer or the sponsors. They are those of the hosts and guests only. We believe freedom of conscience means the right to speak free, to think and believe as you will without the imposition of official coercive power over those beliefs. Liberty cannot exist when people are forced to conform their thoughts and expression to an official viewpoint. Differences of opinion are the natural byproducts of a vibrant, free society. Thank you. Live from Studio Diablo in Chicago, Illinois, this is MK Ultrasound.
Get with the countdown.
I speak jive.
Forget it, man. Blast off for Kicksville. Shake this square world. Blast off for Kicksville.
I speak jive.
Forget it, man. Get with the countdown.
I speak jive.
Forget it, man. Blast off for
Oh boy, I've got one of my most dearest and oldest friends on. She was a co-host right about the time COVID hit here in Chicago. Our friend Yvette Lera. Yvette, you've got something new out this week.
Hey, Alex.
Hey.
Such a great time to reconnect with you and share my new video release and come back. And yeah, I miss you, and I miss being a co-host on the show with you.
I know it was a great thing, but it was short-lived because, oh my God, you hopped around the country for about 2 years.
Yeah, to say the least.
And we go back to before you moved back here, you were in Portland, and then you moved to LA. Is that how it went? And then you moved here.
Yeah.
And then that was all in 2020, like right when COVID happened. It couldn't have been at a worse time. And then you moved to Atlanta, and then you moved to Austin, and now you're in Nashville, Music City.
Yeah. I mean, talk about a whirlwind of, being at the mercy of the economic crisis of the world in current events.
Yeah.
When I left LA, I mean, it was like I was coming to Chicago. I was planning to work for a film there. I was so excited to reconnect with you and be a co-host on your show. And it was interesting because when I was moving back, it was right when the COVID era hit, and we call it the beginning of the 2020s. And it was like nothing that we'd ever seen in our lives.
Well,
and
the first show that you did with me, that's when we were sitting with Anya Tarnowska, and we had a really, really good show. And that was that Friday. That was a Sunday show. That Friday, they told us, okay, shutting everything down for 2 weeks to narrow the curve. And that turned into 2 years because we went and had dinner, if you remember. And when we had dinner at El Mariachi, everybody's phones lit up and Pritzker shut the state down. Everything. Shut everything down.
I know. It was like nothing we'd ever seen. And even when I was on my way to Chicago, there was talks about, okay, this pandemic thing's happening. And I'm like, what pandemic? What are you talking about? Like, seriously? And then it just, we were in the middle of it. And it's like our first podcast where I co-host with you when we did have, Anya, and that was a great show.
Oh, it was fun. And Peter was on there. I mean, and they knew each other. And we were drinking little Coronas, just like because we were kind of making fun of it, And then, boom, at dinner, it was over.
Yeah, and it was like we had just these brief moments of, trying to do a couple more shows. And then at the time, I just, I was in a situation where I ended up having to leave Chicago because it wasn't going to end up working out for me, because with everything shut down, there was no possibility of me getting any kind of a job or sustaining myself. And so I had to go.
Well, it still isn't back to normal. The hiring isn't. I mean, I don't know what they're trying to say on the news, but I know people who got laid off and they can't find work, and educated people and people who are really good at their jobs. And not just that, but Chicago, the fucking crime is worse than what it was when they were rioting. It is every day now, every day. So this is like, this thing has lasted, we're going on 4 years. It'll be 4 years in March. You believe it?
Yeah, I can't. It's like the blink of an eye. And, like I said, I had to unfortunately leave at such a bad time. And I ended up going to Atlanta because I needed to stay with family, just because I needed a place to be while I was trying to still look for work. And when I was there, I thought, well, maybe I'll get into the film business or the industry when I'm there, but it was still shut down. They still had their protocols and, limiting hiring protocols and whatever else was going on at the time. And so I did that briefly for about a year, and then I ended up taking off going to Austin, Texas, because I thought, well, maybe Austin's a little bit more open, which it was. And so I got there, and it still was somewhat of a struggle. And then I noticed that a lot of tech industries started moving there, especially like Silicon Valley and, all of that. They started evacuating San Francisco and relocating to Austin. So like the Bitcoins, the tech companies, obviously Tesla, Elon Musk started, bringing his factories there and everything. But it didn't work out for me. And so at that time, I had just found out also that my aunt had gotten cancer. So I wanted to be closer to her, but I didn't want to move back to Atlanta. So I figured I would move to Nashville. So I moved here. I had one friend here, my friend Brandy. I knew Brandy from Portland, and she was actually a radio co-host for X-Ray FM. She had a little show called Gothic Boutique, and she had interviewed me with a band that I was in Portland at the time. So we became, we were still friends and in contact, and she was here. She's like, yeah, well, I'm here, so why don't you come here? So I came here to check it out. So, obviously I was moving and moving and moving. I mean, I moved from Portland back to LA, back to Chicago, to Atlanta, to Austin, to Nashville. So basically I spent all of my money moving and moving and moving, starting over. And it's like the bar kept being raised for me because of the fact that with the shift of the economy and with everything that's happening in major metropolis cities, especially New York, Chicago, Portland, LA, San Francisco, and everything else, the high rate of crime.
Those cities all have one thing in common.
Yeah.
all Democrat-run cities, all very progressive, very progressive.
Falling apart at the seams, and it's all by design. But see, then what that does is it shifts it to be harder everywhere you go. So even though I'm here in Nashville, what I've been seeing is thousands of people moving here as well.
Yep.
So the job market has been very competitive. You will go and try to apply for a job, and there'll be like 300 or 400 applicants for any kind of a job. So it doesn't matter what you have on your resume, how good you are. It's all about who you know, and it's also if the company wants to expand, because a lot of people are being tight on their first budget, so to speak, because nobody knows what's up with the currency, with what's going on with policies and all of this kind of stuff. So it's just been very limiting. And on top of it, we have just seen the increase of, war, of destruction, of death, of just everything. And so, I had mentioned in my, interview that I just did with Ilker, with Region Magazine, we were talking about this, and Burning Planet was a song that I had written years ago, and it was like prophecy almost. And through you, Alex, and through our history, you had introduced me to Kim Fowley. And back in the day, Kim Fowley had said, you're going to be the last person that they hear on the radio. The song goes off during the apocalypse. And I found that to be very resonating in my brain. And then I ended up writing years later, in around 2011, 2012, Burning Planet. I had never released this song. And the lyrics, just one night, it came to me like weeks ago. I was like, oh my God, I have to release a song now. It's more prevalent more than ever to get this message out there. It's almost like a symbolic prophecy, you know, even from like what Kim Fowley said and whatever, but it was also about the fact that there was two major issues, discussions in that song, which was, you know, humanity's at stake right now, as well as the planet. And it was just something that I was like, I felt the need to just out of nowhere, out of my struggle, out of my strife, out of my sleeper state that I have been in a state of just depression and just like struggle, like, what am I going to do? How am I going to make it? I didn't talk to anyone for a really long time. I didn't even talk to you for a long time because I was just trying to deal with the day to day with the interest rates that were rising. How am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to eat? How am I going to put gas in my car? What am I going to do? And I wasn't the only one. I was neck and neck with so many people going through this struggle, going through the policies, going through crime, going through like, what are we going to do? How are we going to get through this? And so I just literally snapped out of this sleeper mode and was like, this is it. I have to do this video. I have to release the song. I have to do these interviews. I have to get it out there. People need to, you know, come together. We need to reunite and really, really forge this light in this darkness of what we're living in now. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I don't think any of us have seen anything like it.
I mean, some people are acting like it's over, and like, I mean, we're in a worse state, this country right now, as far as the economy, inflation. I mean, how do you afford to go to the grocery store, Yvette? I mean, wow.
Well, let me tell you, you don't. It's like you need to take out a small loan just to put gas in your car, just to buy food to put on your table. You know, I went through months and months and months of this year of just basically living on just coffee and, you know, not eating a lot, you know, like learning how to not eat and just sustain on very limited resources because I had no choice. And I think, you know, and I'm not the only one. I mean, everyone's had to go through this.
Yeah.
And then just with everything that we're going through right now, like I said, it's like war times. It's, you know, we have a serious migration crisis going on in this country. And it's not even about immigration and, you know, people coming here as immigrants. I've had conversations with actual immigrants that said, I came to this country 25 years ago, and I actually had to do a lot of paperwork. I had to get my green card. I had to do things legally. And then it took me a long time to even start my own business. And they're like, even I, like this guy I talked to, he was like, I live in California and now crime is legal. Like you can steal as long as it's up to $1,400, you know? And he goes, I'm being affected by this business model of what they're trying to push through with these laws. And then I heard that Chicago just did a no bail bond.
Oh yeah, they dropped they dropped it. They call it the Safety Act.
Yeah.
And so I mean, it was bad enough that they were letting criminals go anyway. Now it's I mean, they're releasing people in jail awaiting trial. And these people, they just keep committing crimes. They get arrested over and over and they keep getting out. Electronic monitoring, it doesn't work. They, you know, they cut their brace, the anklets off. You know,
What's interesting.
And nothing is being done about it. And the cops aren't allowed to chase. They're not allowed to foot chase. They're not allowed to car chase.
No.
And it's an epidemic. I mean, in my area, and you know where I live, used to be one of the safest neighborhoods in Chicago. All the north side is that's where people have money, so that's where they come in to rob people.
Exactly.
It's
And
bad.
and now we have this problem with the immigration model. Again, it's not about the immigration problem. It's about the fact that all military aged men have been led into this country, and a majority of them are all prisoners and criminals from Venezuela, from Argentina, from Mexico, from who knows where and what. And between them coming in and not being vetted and just getting in with the open door policy, like, I saw a video of an Uber driver, and he was talking about that he talked to one of these guys, and they were like, yeah, I'm being paid by the UN. That's why we have cell phones. That's why we have money. We're just being put here and placed to be on call. They're like sleeper cells. And, people think what just happened in the wars in the Middle East aren't going to happen here, but they're gravely mistaken, because the thing of it is that they have been after the United States superpower for years and years and years, and they do want to see us fall. And so, unfortunately, like I said, the lyrics in the context of Burning Planet, it's basically like when I shot the video, I did it with current events. I sped it up. I edited to just be like ADD, and then with the intensity of the deliverance of the lyrics and the vocals, it was meant to be a wake up call. It's kind of like a battle cry. Like my scream at the very end of the song is like a battle cry. Like, wake up. This is not the time to just be, complacent in your social media and just be like passive about all of this. The time is now that people need to realize what is being done to them. Basically, humanity is at stake at this point. I mean, this is a war against those who are all about death. They want to see so many people depopulated. They want people dead or enslaved. And we are at that point right now. We're lucky enough that we still have the freedom of speech, barely,
yeah. Unless you're writing porn books for children,
well, yeah.
which is just ridiculous. That's just ridiculous.
It's so sad too. Like, what's going on with the children, with the human trafficking, with the warfare that they have against everyone, and with these sleeper cells. So it's a very deeply concerning time. And, I've been quiet for a while too, not only just dealing with my own issues, but this is why, even though I've been at that point, just, trying to do a comeback with you, like, just to be back on the show with you, to do interviews with you, to, take things to the next level. I was like, well, I'm going to do my music when I have my, shit together, when I have, a job, when I'm making enough money, when, I'll do a remix, I'll get a band together, I'll do this. Well, you know what? This is when I woke up and I said, you know what? There is no time to wait until the good and the best time to do anything. So what? Okay, I don't have a full album. Okay, the material that I have is on the shelf. It needs to be shared, and it needs to be shared now. I didn't have an editor to pay to do my video, so you know what? I did it myself. I just taught myself on iMovie, and I put it out there. I was lucky enough that I have, you in my life to do this interview, to talk about this. I'm lucky that I have Ilker from Region magazine to put it out there and talk about this. I'm lucky enough that I have the resources that I can make my voice known now and just utilize what I have. Yeah, I'm still going to try to write some more stuff, but it's interesting to me again that I have stuff that was in the wings, that was prophecy about what's happening. Like the lyrics, if you took a look at those lyrics, Alex, I mean, seriously, is that not exactly what is happening right now?
It is, and I'm going to post that just so everybody knows. That'll be on the MK Ultra magazine website and on the SoundCloud channel where you're listening to this podcast. And we're going to jump into the song, but I just want to go over something really quick because you brought something up about the immigration thing. This just came out today on a local blog, Second City Cop. And it said, this report isn't based on a rumor. It's based on Internal Border Patrol reports. New internal CBP data provided and confirmed by sources that reveals thousands of special interest aliens from mostly Middle Eastern countries have been apprehended by the Border Patrol while crossing into the United States illegally over the last 2 years. 538 from Syria, 139 from Yemen, 659 from Iran, 123 from Iraq, Afghanistan, 6,386, Lebanon, 164, Egypt, 3,153, Pakistan, 1,613. And it just goes on and on. 30,830 out of Turkey. And these were all people on the list, on the hot list to look out for. That's who they've caught. Now imagine who they haven't caught. And they're here. And you know what really pisses me off of that is the homeless in Chicago aren't getting taken care of the way these people are. They're getting new bikes. They're getting free health care. They're getting 3 meals a day. They're getting shelter. You know, they're closing down rec centers where kids would go. So I just think that, you know, our administration, this new mayor, has just thrown us under the bus. But that's what your song's about, isn't it?
Well, basically, the American people have been hated for many, 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 many years. But if you're an American, even if you're an immigrant who came here and became an American or a business owner, anyone that is from America has become public enemy number one.
Right.
Basically, because we've been a free country, because we've been allowed to have the freedom to own our own businesses, have farms, we have our own, actually, you know, our own power grids, our own resources, our own natural resources with gas and oil and all of that kind of stuff. We actually could have millions of jobs here. We could have our own gas and oil. We don't have to go to other countries to do this. We don't. But see, the problem is that any government, I don't care if it's our government or worldwide government, they are a mafia. And basically all of the powers that be is tax money, of our tax money. We work really hard to pay them so that they can use it as play money to do whatever they want with it, line their pockets, make backroom deals with other countries to say, yeah, well, we won't drill for our own oil. We'll cut up our own supply so that we have to like take our money to buy it from you. But the politicians, as we already know, are very corrupt. It's not even a democracy anymore. It doesn't even matter who votes for who anymore. It's just about the fact that whoever has the most power is the one that wants to control the world. And so with that said and done, we're going down a slippery slope of this, you know, degraded way of life. For if you have had this sense of freedom, they don't want that. Like I said, they want you sick, they want you dead, or they want you enslaved. And the problem with American people, and the reason why they gun for us so much, is that they definitely take away our history because they want to gaslight and create their own new history, their own new world order, you know, which I find interesting. And I also talked about this in the interview with Ilker when we talked about like certain bands. Like I was always intrigued by Ministry's song New World Order, you know, and like his sound bites that he did in that. And then, of course, you know, you've got Killing Joke and you've got KMSEM singing about World War III. You know, you've got these, you know, artists that have already been visionaries, you know, and with that said and done, you know, they were intense songs at the time, but who would have ever thought that, you know, every time we geared up for something, it just never panned out. So we just went on about our lives. We just forgot about it. And we're like, okay, well, you know, next one, whatever. But this time it's a little different.
Yeah.
And,
It's
And
a lot different.
the intensity in the air is, it's nuclear. And, some of to quote some of the lyrics in my song, at the end, we all burn, radiate and all infected. We all burn, future shock and all injected. We all burn, nuclear annihilation. We all burn, masochistic revelation. I mean, wow. I mean, my lyrics kind of set the stage for right now, because, again, everything is being war gamed against the entire world. I mean, this immigration problem, it's not just the U.S. They have them in Canada. They have them in Italy. They have them in the U.K. They have them. So there's this displacement with all of these sleeper cell agent soldiers from the UN that are being placed all over. And it's just a matter of time where it's just the call comes in, just like the emergency broadcast. That's all it takes, one phone call to activate. And then there is a world war. And not only that, you've got the imminent threat of the nuclear weapons. And that's the problem, too, with the United States, is that they've dipped their toes in with, it's like we've let these politicians, rally against their own, greed by using our money, our taxpayer money, to fund whatever back deals that they have. And we've been involved in, like, with the China and the Taiwan war. We've been involved with the Russian-Ukraine war. Then there's the backroom deals with, the money being sent to Iran, to fund the terrorist organizations. Yet it's interesting to me how they call Americans terrorists. Well, no, it's not that. They just don't want anyone to stand up against what they're doing with their criminal activities. And if you naysay anything, you're canceled or whatever. But we already know, or most people know, what's going on. But at the end of the day, too, this dangerous concoction of a devil's playground, if you will, is not going to be a win-win for anyone. I mean, they set the bomb off. They do an EMP. They close and cancel our power grid, our internet system, fuel lines, anything that they want to do. What's going to happen at the end of the day? It's like, okay, well, for your protection, let's put you in a concentration FEMA camp. Okay, yeah, that's not for our protection. But it just ends everything. So as far as we've come to this day and age in society, it's like we're sitting here watching the fall of the greatness of where we finally got to. The problem is that with so much technology, so much power, so much control, so much greed, so much money, it's not enough for those who are in power. They want the entire planet. But the also problem is that with what they're doing with their wargaming and their climate control and all this stuff, is Mother Nature is going to start fighting back, and the planet is going to start, eating itself as well. It's like we're going to have floods, earthquakes, fires, if they're not doing it with, the satellites, with the DIY weapons and whatever else, by any means necessary. If they want it and they're going to control it, they'll burn it down to the ground. But who wins in the end when humanity is wiped from the face of the earth? Then what are you going to do when you're at this ice age or a dinosaur age? So at the end of the day, it's not necessarily winning. You're just destroying everything for power and greed. And that's the point in where we need to wake up and actually have our battle cry. And that's why, like I said, burning planet and everything that I talked about.
Well, let's give it a listen now. Let's play it to everybody. You'll be able to see the video on the MK Ultra Magazine website later this evening. Yvette, we'll be back after the song. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Thank you. Here we go on the MK Ultrasound podcast.
Every great day starts with a cup of get the fuck out of bed coffee from Martin Atkins and Dark Matter Coffee. Go to darkmattercoffee.com. Look for the big red logo that says get the fuck out of bed. America runs on damage, and it all starts with a cup of get the fuck out of bed coffee. There are 10 commandments and there are 7 deadly sins, but there is only one MK Ultra magazine. Visit us daily online at www.mkultramagazine.com for entertainment news, reviews, and interviews. mkultramagazine.com, home of Alexander's Diary of a Damned Man. That's mkultramagazine.com.
Yvette, that was a great tune.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I just love, you do everything in house. It's just amazing what you're able to do. But you've been doing this for, long before I met you, which was close to 30 years ago now. That's scary, isn't it? And I was talking about this the other night. I was up in Wrigleyville, and Max and I had seen that new Exorcist film, and then we went to a bar. And I was telling everybody about the place where I met you. It was Fuel. You remember that, right next to Metro? And
yeah.
Sundays was industry night, and I tell everybody how cool it was. Like, if you were in the music business and you lived in the Chicagoland area, which included the burbs, which is all the record labels are located outside of the city unless it's Invisible or Wax Tracks. And if you were in the biz, you were there, and everything was half. The menu, the drinks, for all of us, it was half off, and everybody was there. And that's when I met you.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And speaking of the devil, an old friend, a better friend of yours than me, Tammy Down, Faster Pussycats, coming back out on tour again. They were already out this summer, and now they're coming back in the fall. Doing two shows in the burbs, one in Joliet and one in St. Charles.
I got to give it to Tammy, man. He is hanging in there, man. He's doing it and doing it good, And I just saw him briefly. I was working and I had to pop in. I just wanted to say hi to him just recently when he was in town. But, he's always just been a founder of just like keeping it going. Like he's just keeping the dream alive. I got to give it to him.
They really bring it live. They really bring it. And he's got a fucking great lineup right now. Just phenomenal. And those guys have been with him longer than anybody, the original members. So,
yeah, I love those guys. Like, it's just, it's like family. They're amazing. You
know what's crazy, though? The band that's opening for them and opened for them this summer is Jason Charles Miller Band. And they do like country rock.
Jason's awesome, too.
I didn't know that was the guy from Godhead. And I was talking to him I didn't even recognize it because I did a lot with Godhead back then, if you remember. They were in the magazine. They were on my radio show. I'd seen him in L.A. when I was out there at the Key Club the night I met Kim Fowley. It is just crazy.
I hung out with Jason, some friends of mine. This was, again, my long journey. I've got to write a book, and I am actually going to do this about a lot of my, times all through the years and over the years in the scene. But yeah, at one point in LA, when he was in Godhead, we were at a party at Zoe Bonham's house. And he was doing really great back then. And I think that's like when Queen of the Damned was happening and his song was released was then, And then, over the years, he formatted his style and everything. But yeah, he's still doing great. I got to see him too when he was out with Tammy and them. And it was a really great time.
Yeah, Godhead, like they're on tour with Manson, and then they went on tour with Rammstein. I'm like, wow, they were on the circuit right around 2000, playing everywhere.
Oh yeah,
But so I've got to get one part of this out of the way now. I sent you a list of annoying audio bites, and this is a new annoying game we're playing, and the list is getting longer. But on the list was you had to choose, and you chose 2 annoying sound bites. And the first was Seinfeld Ass Man Mix, which is awesome. That was made for this show.
No, that's not the one I picked.
I know. I'm reading the list. And then the Best Cry Ever Mix, the Samuel L. Jackson yelling at you, every cocksucker from Deadwood, every time Walter White says Jesse from Breaking Bad, Paul Stanley on stage banter for 2.5 minutes, Van Halen Running with the Devil, David Lee Roth's vocal track only, Alex Jones Gay Frogs Mix, Bad Santa 1 and 2, 4 minutes and 11 seconds of swears from Bad Santa 1 and 2, and Gran Torino, all insults and racial slurs. And you chose one of them, and I'll play one of them now, and we'll come back and talk a little bit more and play another song that you did for us, Red Skies, and then we'll close out the show. But Yvette chose it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Best Cry Ever mix on the MK Ultrasound podcast.
Because I know somewhere deep down in my heart, I still love you.
Okay. You know what's funny about that? I got the idea from my brother. He does special effects and in Columbus, Ohio, and he's the head of the department. And he would play that because they're at a big warehouse. They work with a lot of chemicals and things. And he would play that like for hours nonstop, just to annoy people. And he did the same thing with Paul Stanley, like on stage banter, like 5-6 hours.
Kind of sounds like what goes through my head every time I have to go buy groceries or put gas in my car. No! or every time I have to deal with any bullshittery that's going on around us. No! Yeah. Soundtrack for my life.
The other one you picked, and we'll play it after your next song, was you did choose every time Walter White says Jesse in Breaking Bad. And then next week we're going to add in every time Jesse says bitch in Breaking Bad, which is a lot. He said that was like his favorite word, bitch. But now the mood just completely changed.
So listen, just a little bit back to again, just quickly before we go into the second. So
okay.
Burning Planet and Red Skies. I know that we featured Red Skies before,
right.
On the show too, but it's kind of a part one and part two, almost like an post-apocalyptic,
right.
Part one and two, because Red Skies is like a post-apocalyptic mood as well. It's a little bit more upbeat and has a little bit more electronic, background and things like that. But again, it's still Red Skies, Burning Planet. It's still kind of the same concept. And even like I said, with Burning Planet, with, even just the images, you've got the chemtrails, you've got aliens, you've got unaffordable housing, you've got migration crisis, you've got the children, you've got the nuclear bombs going off, you've got war, you've got, inflation, you've got just, explosions, just everything around you. And then, Red Sky is the same thing. So again, that's kind of like, we're revisiting it because it's kind of a part one and part two to what I'm talking about in those songs, which is very interesting how it kind of ties up into the whole focus of, what we're talking about nowadays. And, and like I said, I think it's just overall, as an artist, I'm glad that I can express myself and, kind of speaking through music as most artists who are visionaries can, because I think more than ever nowadays, people want to have songs that they can just like relate to, because it's just like, what the hell's going on, and it's like to have something that's like kind of a battle cry or an anthem, I think is more important than ever to bring us together, because we need to stop worrying about all the subdivisions of just nonsense that are divisive against each other, and we need to reunite together, to focus on the entire issue at hand.
Robert Kennedy Jr. wants to heal the divide, but they don't want to. They don't want to heal the divide. I mean, I think that this power play, especially with politics, is just dividing us even more as people, and people fight. People argue over who they voted for in the last election, and the families fall apart, and friendships, I know, I've been there, fall apart because of who you voted for.
It really makes me sad because honestly, at the end of the day, I have to kind of be the neutralizer, whereas there is no political democracy. Neither one is for us. Like, no, everyone has to understand that at the end of the day, it's like good cop versus bad cop. And we're all still looking down the barrel of a gun.
You know, and
honestly.
How about the shit that happened in Israel last weekend? Your song came out right before that. You dropped this song right before that, and what a fucking atrocity. And then people are on both sides of that in the United States. I mean, I can't believe it. Why would you defend terrorists who are killing and raping and cutting children's heads off? I mean, hundreds. They took out that concert. Vans and the gliders just came in and just started killing people.
It is the most atrocious evil. All of this is evil by design. And like I said, also the prophecy. And when I woke up with a sense of urgency the day I said, I'm not worrying about, I actually just quit my job. I don't even know what I'm going to do about like getting a job right now. I'm freaking out on my own terms. But literally, I woke up and I'm like, to my friend Brandy, I'm like, I have to shoot this video right now. I have to get it out right now, right now, right now. And my sense of urgency was very on point because it was like we had that state of emergency stupid thing on the 4th, and the day before on the 3rd, we had Russian was doing like a nuclear war simulation, emergency thing. And then interesting, right after they did that, 4 days later, the Middle East goes up in the flames. And then, every day, if we're going to, put the pieces together from now on, we thought that the 2020s were bad. No, they didn't get bad enough for those in power. They want it worse. Mm-hmm. And so they are going to keep putting the finger on the button, and it's just going to be trigger after trigger after trigger. And people need to wake up and understand that we need to stop fighting each other. We need to fight against the evil that is dead set against the murder and the rape and just terrorist division and everything that's going on. And so that's why, like I said, Burning Planet, that's why it's like I got it out there. I got Ilker from Regen to like help me do an article. I'm like, Alex, we got to do a show. We got to promote this. We got to put this out there because this is bigger than you and I. My music is important, but I'm not doing this as just like an artist, like, look at me. I'm not doing this for freaking content. You understand? It's like I'm doing this because I feel like if some way, shape, or form, my battle cry can get people to join in the battle cry and know that we belong together, like we can fight this together as long as we stick together and stop dividing amongst each other. Like, stop the hate. I don't want to lose people and friends. I don't want friends to get separated or families to get separated. I don't want that. I'm tired of it. I'm exhausted from it. And the fighting and the bickering over nothing that these people want to do. It's called Project Bluebeam. It's called Mockingbird. It's called experimentation. It's called mind control, and it's like, it's interesting because it's like that's where they want people to be. Because the more that people are divided amongst themselves, the less that they're focusing on these evil people who are in charge of this corruption. And so they're laughing at us because they're like, ha, 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 look at the minions. They're all fighting against each other. Well, people need to be looking at where the source of this evil is coming from. And they need to be taken down. Like, who are they? Like, they need to go. If I could have a superpower to, like, help heal this, I'd go out in a blaze of glory, willingly. But the only thing I can do is share my music, my lyrics, and my battle cry, and hope that somewhere, somehow, it gets out there and people listen, and it can inspire them in some way, shape, or form.
Well, let's share Red Skies.
Okay.
All right. And we'll be right back and close out the show. We're already like 50 minutes in. Wow.
Alex, well, that's great. Well, you know how you and I get, and
Yep.
we haven't done a reunion podcast in a long time.
Yeah,
so
it's been
I'm
too long.
I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so glad that we have something to connect us again, and I look forward to more.
Here's more Yvette Lera on the MK Ultrasound podcast with Red Skies.
Jesse Jackson. Jesse. Jesse! 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 Jesse!
That's annoying, isn't it? Oh, this list is going to grow and grow and grow. It's something. I got the idea as I was watching the old Norm Macdonald clips last week or 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, he would do annoying things like that. I'm like, oh, I just got a great idea. I had to write it down so that I knew it next thing in the morning to get up and put this together. But thanks to Jason Harmon for putting that together. He converted your songs to files that we were able to play on this show. Thanks to Jason. Thanks to Ilker. And I want to say thanks to some other people right now because I am doing my first MK Ultra production show in Chicago since 2015. After 2015, I was doing shows in New Glarus, Wisconsin, and in Bradley, Illinois at the Looney Bin while Nick Huffman was still alive. And I'm doing one more show here before I move out to the burbs. It will be December 14th at Livewire Lounge, and I've got Cleopatra Recording Artist 616 headlining and Chicago's own Derision Cult. And so you got a good goth band. That, the guy loves Elvis. It's like a gothic Elvis. He recorded at Sun Studios. And Derision Cult are just like heavy Chicago industrial. You hear a lot of ministry in them. So David Nagale came by last week. He had posters and postcards made, and the show is like not till December 14th. So I'm going to start putting them up right after Halloween. Because I think right now 2 months ahead is a little bit too much. But then there's going to be, we've got the Thanksgiving break coming up. So I'm going to hit whatever record stores are left. There's like none. You remember when you lived here, how many record stores we had?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everywhere, especially Wicker Park. But after, the internet and when MK went as a magazine went away because the distributors were
I used to live over on Halstead in Belmont. I mean, I used to go visit Mick at 99th floor, of course, which is another cool fun fact. The cowboy hat that I'm wearing in my Burning Planet video is one that I purchased from Mick from 99th floor. That
store's gone. The alley's gone. I mean, it's like Target. Yeah, it's like Target everywhere. It's Target.
Wow.
And
I mean, there was so much over there, and record stores, and I
remember how cool it was. Cool, and Al Jorgensen worked at that one record store with our friend James. I mean, he worked at a fucking record store. There was like
Waxtrax studio was right over there in Halstead as well, right across from 7-Eleven.
No, it's where 7-Eleven was, or is. It was because that's how Al got to know Mick and everybody at 99th floor. I mean, that's where everybody hung out. Anyway, those were the days. I'm glad we've got memories.
I miss those days.
I'm
so glad too.
I'm glad to hear from you again. I missed you so much.
Miss you too.
I know that you went through the hardest. I mean, a lot of people went through some hard shit, but I never saw anybody go through what you did. At the worst fucking time. And I don't ever remember you having a problem getting a job, but there weren't even fucking bars to bartend at anymore.
Yeah.
And now they're getting ready to do it again. They're getting ready to bring back the masks. They're bringing back the vaccinations. I'm done with it. I've got three vaccinations. I'm not getting any more. I'll get my flu shot, but I know. And you know what really pissed me off because it was supposed to be free. And then I got a bill for it and I had to fight with them about the payment. And then, but I don't know why they had to have my social security number to be vaccinated. I'm like, I didn't want to do it. I'm like, look, you've got my driver's license. You scan that. They no longer put your social on your driver's license. Like, why do you need my social security number? That was bullshit. And they wouldn't vax me without it. I should have just walked out. I mean, I know I've had COVID probably 3 or 4 times. And it's going around
like
again.
Like I said, it's just a total circus of a circus show that we live in nowadays. And like I said, I'm so glad and grateful that I have the memories of Chicago and the memories that I've, of all the places that I've lived and the experiences that I've had. I'm glad to have had those, and those times I will never forget. It burdens me to live in the world that we live in now. It makes me sad because I'm separated from my brethren and from my tribe, from my sisters, and all my friends, everything. I'm separated from that because of this evil, wicked world and the agendas that are afoot. And I really, my heart is heavy because I miss everyone so much. And the only thing I can do is just, put my songs, my music, my lyrics, stand up, have a voice, and just be me as myself and as an artist, and hope that, we can all come together and make a difference. But,
hey, yeah, we got to close out. It's been an hour now.
Sure. Yep,
I
absolutely.
Can't thank you enough, Yvette. I love you. I miss you being around me. I miss
all
the positive energy and all the good times, all the concerts and all the work that we did together. It was epic. And here we are. We're still working together. So, Yvette,
well, like I said, let's do another one soon.
Yep.
And thank you so much for having me on the
Oh,
show.
yeah.
It means so much to me. And I look forward to having it out, and I can share it with others. And
I will
wish you
get you a link as soon as it's up. Everybody,
thanks so much.
Thank you, Yvette. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back in a week or so. You've been listening to the MK Ultrasound Podcast.
You've been listening to the MK Ultrasound Podcast from Chicago, Illinois with your host, Alexander. Please click like and subscribe and share with your friends. Check us out online at mkultramagazine.com. And on behalf of the MK Ultrasound staff, thanks for listening, everybody.